Did you like my shirt?
Oh yeah, proper good.
Good. Oh, sexy.
We live in a world really where, we put sort of labels on human beings as if we're tins of food, and we're not.
James, tell us about unicorns and your role in it.
Right. So I wrote and I co-directed Unicorns. It's my filmmaking debut. It's very much my creative baby. I co-directed it with Sally El Hosaini, who I've worked with many times before on a few films. Unicorns is basically a very modern romance, and it's about a British Indian drag queen who falls in love with a straight single dad from Essex, who's white. And it's all based on real stories, real people. All the stuff that happens in the film has either happened to me or has happened to our producer and consultant, Asifa Lahore, who's a very well-known British Asian drag queen, all the other queens that I know. So it's very authentic. I hope it means different things to different people, but for me, it kind of explores this idea of, do identity labels really exist? And if they do exist, should they matter?
Where did the original spark for this film come? Did it come realizing there's a story here and can I make this a film? Was that the thought process?
So about 7 years ago was when I was really starting to seriously think about making my debut as a filmmaker. And I wanted it to be very personal. Yeah. And I've always had this feeling that I still have today, which is that, mainstream society is very good at forcing very reductive identity labels on all of us. Yeah. And I certainly feel that, I'm half Indian, half English, but I'm only ever brown. My experience with sexuality has been very fluid, but I'm only allowed to be one thing. I have to be straight or queer or whatever. I think we live in a world really where, we put sort of labels on human beings as if we're tins of food, and we're not. We change, we evolve. Who you were 10 years ago is probably very different to who you are now, and how you feel and your actions and your identity labels are probably different. So I think putting that in the context of falling in love was the way to do it, really.
Yeah. It's a great modern romance in many ways. But tell us how you came to work with Sally. Why did you decide Sally El Hosaini was the right person to collaborate on your first feature film?
Sally and I we often try and work together on our projects, even if I had one on my own or her on it. And what happened was that we were talking about wanting to co-direct together for a while. We hadn't really found the right project. And she always really loved this one because, like me, she's mixed. She's half Welsh, half Egyptian. And she's also had very similar experiences to me, where she feels like her identity is a very confusing, ball that just kind of gathers different things over a long period of time. So she loved those themes. So, when we got really close to getting it made, she felt like, can I add something to the party? I said, yeah, of course you can. And to be honest, Sally and I, what we try and do is that whenever we have a project, we try our best to take our sort of careerist ambitions out of the way and just go, look, like, what can you bring and what can you bring? Obviously I'm an actor, I'm a writer, and now I'm also a director, and Sally's a writer and a director. And we try our best to go, look, what are our strengths here? And it just with this project, it was very clear that the film was going to be stronger for both of us directing it and me only writing it and not acting in it.
So what was the biggest challenge for you, both in the writing and then when it came to directing, for you personally?
Do you know what? It wasn't a massively challenging project because it was mine and it was very personal to me. I wasn't a gun for hire, so I was kind of doing what I wanted, really, which is the dream. I think the difficulty is, like any film, is getting it made. Trying to convince people that they can give you hundreds of thousands of pounds and sometimes $1 million or $2 million, is tough, no matter what kind of film you're making. But in particular, if you're making something that is perceived to not be commercial, which touches on queer themes and South Asian identity. But the truth is that, as this is being proven at this film festival and at Toronto and everything that we've done so far, is audiences are loving it. And I think the world is ready for a film like this.
Getting your funding, was it because you were covering areas that hadn't really been covered, or you were deliberately tackling themes which a lot of mainstream films just wouldn't touch?
It's difficult to answer that because I'm not the investor. You'd have to ask them. But I think Yeah, it stands out, doesn't it? I don't think there's really been a film like this, so that obviously helps. But the truth is that I think any movie getting made is a miracle, and why it gets made is slightly mysterious. But it probably has something to do with the fact that I think the new generations now, Gen Z, millennials, I think they really understand this idea that all identity can be what you want it to be. And you should smash through the reductive labels that mainstream culture puts on us, because that's very freeing. So I think the fact that the film touches on that in a very direct way, in a very bold way, I think, you know, really the new generations who are the main audience and always will be in cinema, you know, I think they're the reason why this film's probably got made, their existence.
So why did you want to explore your kind of South Asian identity in a feature film?
Well, it's a big part of who I am. I mean, you know, I'm a British Indian kid, and my mum's a Tamil Indian from South India, and she came to this country when she was 14 by car with her family, and she stayed here, and, you know, she stayed with this local white family, and, you know, her journey is a big part of who I am, and my Indian culture is a big part of who I am. It's not the only part of me, you know, but I think to make anything personal is usually going to touch upon something like that. And I'm very proud that you know, I get to make a movie that touches upon British Indian, I think, identity and values and themes and struggles and emotions, you know, and get paid for it. I mean, that's a pretty amazing job, isn't it?
Well, it's pretty amazing, yeah. But how does it feel to have that story up there, the Asian identity, the kind of sexual identity issues? I mean, there's a lot in the film, but it's very well done, I think.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, the story is what it is, really. I mean, it's a reality that's being lived, not just by me, but by many of the people that are in the film. And I think it's about time that a film like this exists, and that it gets a lot of attention here at LFF and other places, because I think there's literally millions of people in the world who feel the exact same way that the characters in this film do, and the way that myself and Sally feel too, you know? The timing is everything, right?
And how difficult or easy was it to maintain that tone? You know, you get the tone right, I think, as a viewer, because there's dark and there's light and it's a good balance. But it's not always easy to get that, because it could have gone very dark.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the greatest dramas are funny and the greatest comedies are dramatic. Genre is nonsense, really. You know, great stories are great stories. They have all the colors of emotion. And I feel like, you know, great films are no exception, and that's what we're aspiring to do. Like, if you're making something that is authentic and I think has a reality to it, it will automatically be funny, be thrilling, be dramatic, be slow, be fast, be colourful, be great, be all of these things. I think it's if you're doing a film that's just one thing, you're probably telling a lie.
James Krishna Floyd, all the best with the film.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Take care.